Jenny, in my own career, I've worked mostly as a science communication practitioner the last, say, 20 years, but now I'm also much more interested in science communication research. And I know that over the years you've been a champion for this idea of bridging theory and practice, that it shouldn't be researchers living in their own world and practitioners doing their work without learning from each other. Tell me a little bit more about that and how you think we can do better at bridging science communication theory and practice.
Well, it's something I actually feel quite passionate about. And in my own business as a consultant in science communication, we've tried to, within our business, bridge this gap between research and practice. So we do a lot of research that informs the practice that we do. As an example of that, for example, if we're asked to do a communication strategy for an organisation, we will put into our proposal the need to research the people they want to communicate with. And so that would be going out and finding out their perceptions, concerns and needs of those people. And having that knowledge very much informs the sort of strategy that is formed, because you can really only do effective communication if you've done that sort of research about the people that you want to communicate with. It's vital, and it has informed a lot of the things that we do at eConnect. So I think there is a real need for that to happen. Beyond that, when I've gone to PCST conferences and so forth, I've learnt from people that are more into theory than I am about things, and it's made me think about some of my practice in different ways, hopefully in better ways. But likewise, I think people who are involved in research need to also listen to the practitioners, because they're the ones who are there in the reality every day. And I think a lot of the research could be based more on the issues that they face. A lot of the research should be looking at the sort of practice that they're doing and giving them feedback about that practice, perhaps how it can be improved, or even what they're doing that seems to work really well. As a lot of practitioners don't really know whether the work that they're doing is actually achieving what they want it to achieve. If I remember back to when I was at CSIRO, I won a 6-month overseas study award to go to the United States largely and study risk communication. So I went to a number of universities over there and worked mostly with academics, with researchers rather than with practitioners. And I remember that I learned things there that I'm still applying in my practice today. For example, message design around risk. And there are 3 golden questions that I use based on that study trip I did over 20 years ago. It's still used in my practice today because that was something that they had shown was effective in their research over at Rutgers University, a woman named Karen Chess. And so I'm constantly learning from people who've done the research as well as other practitioners.
Well, I'd certainly like to get back to those 3 golden questions a little bit later, maybe in a different conversation, because I think it is amazing when theoretical research can play such a specific role in your practice of science communication. Maybe just one last question on this topic. If somebody is starting out in practice of science communication, or they may have been in the field for a number of years, but they feel largely isolated from research, have you got any tips maybe on where to start reading, where to start looking, what kind of networks to join if a practitioner wants to find out more about research?
Well, definitely the Public Communication of Science and Technology Network, which has a website, which has an annual conference every 2 years, is a wonderful place because really the theme of that conference, and it's something that I've been driving since I've been involved in the scientific committee, is the need to link research with practice. And at those conferences you do get a mix of both coming along. Used to be largely, to be honest, researchers with a few practitioners penetrating now and again.
Right.
But I think it's becoming more and more a much more even spread of that. And then of course there are people who attend that who do, like myself, who do both research and practice. And I think that's a wonderful network to be part of. I know in Australia we've sort of set up, as part of the Australian Science Communicators, a researchers network within that. And they try and meet once a year and they share publications and they try to have an informal and formal network between those people involved in research in science communication in Australia. And I think that works really well. But you sort of need a sort of base level of researchers to be able to do that.
Excellent. Thank you very much.